The large-scale farms that I was talking about that are producing your potatoes use a lot of synthetic fertilizers. There's another way in which they use a lot of oil in addition to the transportation of your food. Right now I'm just mashing up those potatoes that I just let them cool a little bit. I'm mashing them up with this spoon. I would prefer to use a fork, but I don't have a fork. And I certainly don't have a potato masher, and you probably don't either, because, I don't know, it's a one-service utensil. So you can really mash it with anything. Personally, I like my potatoes with kind of bigger chunks. And also, I mentioned earlier that skins of vegetables have a lot of nutrients. That's why I'm leaving them in. I also like the texture. Forks are definitely better for this, but this is gonna work out. You just gotta mash it real hard. I'm gonna use this and get down here maybe. So like I was saying, small-scale farms like the Kilpatricks, some of them are certified organic, some of them are certified natural, some of them are nothing at all. But these small-scale farms generally tend to not use synthetic fertilizers and other things of the nature. Synthetic pesticides are the same deal. And so there's another reason why it's beneficial to support your local farmers. And they generally don't need to use those things because of their scale, and they're not. There's a bunch of other reasons we'll get into later, but they're not really starved for those nutrients that their plants need because they're taking better care of the land. And a lot of times they have animals on the farm, polycultural systems, I guess what that's called, that can provide that manure for the land. The Kilpatricks actually have some extremely fertile soil in their greenhouses, and they started out from nothing. They had very poor soil, and just through using their animal poop, putting it on the ground, they've created a very fertile environment in which to grow their winter greens. They grow their winter greens in there. So these onions are looking really good indeed. My potatoes are pretty mashed. What else am I doing here? Potatoes are pretty mashed. I think I'm going to put in some spinach. But first, so I said these onions are going in a multitude of dishes. I'm just going to put some into the potatoes right here because that's one thing they're going into. And then they are also for my spinach and bulgur salad, which, by the way, has feta cheese from Liza Porter's farm in Argyle, New York. It is absolutely delicious. I tried it today because I couldn't wait. And I'm just going to turn this down a little further, and then I've still got to disassemble my beautiful work of art. So right now I'm just kind of finding the spinach among the other stuff. And then I've also got some more over here. Run some water over it, get the dirt off. You could use some soap, you could use some vegetable wash, but I don't. Squeeze it out. Oh boy. Again, I haven't made this point yet. Don't be afraid of water in cooking. Water will boil off. That's a bit too much water. We were talking about evaporation earlier. It's an amazing chemical process by which water absorbs heat and then goes away. So don't worry, your flavors are all going to be left there. Right now, the spinach is going to get heated up and lose a lot of water, and it's going to concentrate, and it's going to make the flavors delicious. This spinach I also tried because I couldn't wait to taste it, and it is so good. It is so good. It's got a nutty flavor, and the spinach that you buy at the Price Chopper does not compare. It's just really, the flavor is a whole nother tier above. And that's another thing that I generally find with your locally produced foods is that you lose a lot of flavor in the conventionally grown food. That's to say, the locally produced food generally tastes a lot better for a lot of reasons in my mind, but it's just coming from the ground right near you. They're not being transported long distances. They're not being refrigerated for days and weeks at a time. They're not sitting on shelves and packaging. It's just really a fresh product. And I think that that's why everything just tastes so much better when it's coming from your farm, from your local farms. This won't take much time at all to cook down. Now I need to do something with my turnips because they've been cooking for a while. Hopefully they're not burned. They look great. I think what I'm going to do is I am just going to, what else is going in there? Oh, my kale. All right. Kale is for the veggie burgers, which I forgot about, but it's okay. Just shake it out. Might not want to do that in your kitchen because you'll get water everywhere. But kale is a leafy green that belongs to the mustard family, the mustard green family. It's very dark. This is, I bought this yesterday and it's already shriveling up a little bit. But it really doesn't hold that, or doesn't, I don't know what to say, hold its form that long after it's harvested. So you really want to use this right after you buy it. But it's good because it's coming from a whole vegetable. It's not, nothing happened to this other than growing. And that's how you know something's good for you. It came from the ground and it didn't go into the hands of anybody other than myself and my farmer. And that's really how I gauge what's healthy and what's not. I'm just chopping up this kale very choppy. And a lot of people take the leaves off of the stem, but I personally like the stems. They give it an extra crunch and just kind of an extra texture. So I'm going to heat up some oil to put this kale in. I'm going to cook it for a bit. Like I said, it's pretty thick and tough. And for that reason, you kind of need to cook it a while to get it really tender. So I need to turn this on. Stir this guy. He's cooking down nicely. I guess I'm going to take these off now. So oil's heating up. I was actually going to put... I've outsmarted myself. I was going to put the onions in with the kale and cook them together, but I put them in with the potatoes instead, but they're all going together in the end, so that should work out nicely. This is the largest cutting board I've ever worked with, by the way. It's pretty exciting. So that's going to cook for a while. In the meantime, I am going to cut some more apples, and then I'm going to make some salad dressing to go on this. And then I'm going to, but first, I'm going to cook some breadcrumbs. This is the one thing in our meal that was not made by farmers or me. I guess this came from somewhere like the press chopper, because I guess a good message is do as much as you can, get as much food as you can from your local farmers, but everyone knows it's just unrealistic to get all of your food. So if you just think, if I buy one thing from the farmer's market this week, if I buy a few apples, if I buy one meal's worth of food from the farmer's market, you're really making a difference and you're really doing your part, because it's not just a matter of going cold turkey and completely abandoning the system. It's a matter of weaning yourself off and trying to reduce that dependence that we have come to rely on. So I'm going to grab another pot. I'm going to get this pot and we're just going to cook up some breadcrumbs in a little butter and some spices. Basically what that's doing is just making it really tasty. When you're cooking breadcrumbs in butter, it's not really rocket science. You're putting stuff in butter that absorbs stuff, and it's just going to make it taste good. Butter makes things taste good. So if I can find my knife, which is right here, I'm going to cut off about that much butter. Not too much, just enough to give it a kick. And my breadcrumbs are also supposed to have garlic, but I'm not going to put garlic in there because I don't have any chopped. And it's also calling for caraway seeds and paprika. I have my caraway seeds and paprika right here. I'm actually going to put my cup of breadcrumbs in right now. Last time I made this, that was too much, so I'm just going to do a half a cup, maybe 3/4, and that should be fine. So here I've got my paprika and caraway seeds. And you may be thinking, well, hey, those aren't in little plastic bottles or little glass bottles. Where the hell did you get them from? I got them from Four Seasons Natural Food Store on Fowler Street in Saratoga Springs. They have an amazing bulk section there. Bulk section. They have beans, they have spices. Spices. All of them a lot cheaper than you can find in the grocery store. Grains, beans, granola. And the reason for that is, generally speaking, for bulk foods, You're not paying for packaging, you're not paying for marketing, you're not paying for advertising, you're not paying a company a royalty so that they can then pay a tiny amount of money to the farmers they're getting this stuff from. So in short, it's cheaper, and that's really a big draw when you're a college student and you just want to make some meals with some spices. They've really got a great selection down there. They really anything you want and then a whole lot that you've never heard of. So you could get really creative and just kind of find out what things taste like. I haven't checked how much of this stuff I need, but I'm just going to put a little bit in because it's going to make it taste good. Just occasionally stir everything so you're not burning it. Now, here's an example of something. I'm used to cooking spinach from the Price Chopper and other grocery stores, and those tend to cook down a lot. This spinach is not cooking down a lot, and I suspect that's because it has a much lower water content, and therefore you're getting a lot more spinach from your spinach. You're not just buying water and then cooking it off. Probably it's got more nutrients, whatever nutrients spinach has. I don't really know the list, but I can tell you it's not bad for you. I've got my bulgur in here. I'm gonna put my spinach and onions into that and just mix it up. And that's pretty much gonna be our hot salad. We're gonna put some of that feta cheese into the salad right before serving so that it doesn't, oh no, man down. So it's not, burning or doing whatever. I'm gonna try and grab this piece of spinach from the fire. Yeah. All right, I got it. There's one down there that I'm not getting out. All right, I got it. So your breadcrumbs are very prone to burning. Don't burn your breadcrumbs because that will not make you as happy as if you don't burn your breadcrumbs. So these are nice and toasty. I'm going to turn those off. Off they are. My turnips are glazing and squirting. This kale needs a little bit more moisture. I'm going to put in some oil. Actually, I'm going to put in some water. For those of you who may be watching some of your calories, you can really just, like I said, it's going to prevent the burning. What is next? I'm going to put some stuff into my potatoes and make them into veggie burgers after I mix this salad in. I'm just going to mix it in now so that kind of the heat penetrates through, rewarms the bulgur. Bulgur, by the way, I think it's a method of preparation. It's wheat that was dried and then re-moistened on the outside, so the insides are very hard and the outside is not as hard. And so it's nutritious and it keeps forever, and it takes not a long time to cook, as you saw. A lot of grains do take a very long time, and that's why it's fun. Next order of business is putting stuff in this stuff. And I'm going to take this over here because it's not very hot anymore. And I'm going to be adding, what the hell am I adding? Mustard? Oh, I've got another trick for you. These are what we call eggless eggs, and I need something small to mix this in. Aha. All right, I'm going to use this teacup. This is a trick used by many people. Basically what you do, if I had a spoon, that would be optimal, but I don't. So I'm going to use these spoons, which I do have. Tablespoon. The ratio of whatever this, flax meal. This is flax meal. It's made from flax seeds, which are good for you. Again, another thing that is not processed and has a lot of nutrients because it's a whole food. Flax seeds are a seed, and people will tell you that they're very high in omega-3 fatty acids or something like that. But this is just those seeds ground into a fine meal. The recipe calls for 2 egg yolks, so I'm going to do 2 tablespoons of flax meal, and then I'm going to do 6 tablespoons of water. That's going to create a really good binder. This stuff absorbs water like no one's business. So you're going to make that, you're going to let it sit for about 2 minutes, and then it's going to be a really good binder in place of eggs, because that's what eggs do in your whatever you're putting them in, baked goods and things like that. And the golden ratio for flax meal eggs are 3 tablespoons of water to 1 tablespoon of flax meal. So I think that was 2. I hope that was 2. 3, 4. I'm going to get to 6 eventually. 5 and 6. And then That stuff's just going to sit on the bottom, so give it a good mix. Now, this, which I regret to inform you I don't have enough of, is whole grain mustard. And it's really, really tasty. I can't fit my spoon in there. So I'm going to use a smaller one. But it's really tasty. I urge you to try it. I'm using it not only because the recipe calls for it, because I love it. I never used to like mustard, but when I tasted this, I came around, and now it's good. Just try it. Just trust me. Try it once. If you don't like it, don't have to get it again. I'm going to put some of this stuff in there too. I think that's about 2.5 tablespoons and 3. And I'm going to mix it up again. Now I think that I'm going to add my kale now because it's a touch crispy. Yes, it is. Well, that's unfortunate. That's the first thing that's went a touch wrong on the show, but it's going to be fine because it's just going to bring in that charred flavor. It's going to be like a barbecue in your mouth. It's going to bring back memories of summer. So I'm going to put the kale in there with the potatoes, and then I'm just going to mix it all together. And I think I might turn off my turnips because they're browning on the bottom. And I think that, stay on, that the glaze is nice and glazy. And so I've got my salad, I've got my braised turnips, I've got my breadcrumbs, which are going to go on top of there, but not yet. We're going to do that right before we serve it. And now we got to form these into patties. So I'm going to just scrape out this bowl. And I am going to make my burgers in this pan. I'm going to, I guess, move this over so maybe you can see it. That's very heavy. I'll put this here. Oh, my flax stuff. So this didn't really, yeah, okay. It's coming. I think it might need a few more minutes to really solidify, but you can see it's kind of goopy. And I don't know really if you can see that, but it is. Take my word for it. And I'm going to pour that in there just like that. It's going to make it all come together, stick together, and hopefully we can form patties with these potatoes. Mix it up. It's pretty gooey, which is good. So I'm going to put some oil into my pan. Oil. And the oil is going to, too much in. This is the fun part. We're going to add a little salt and pepper to this mixture. 2 tablespoons. If I don't have, I've got plenty of pepper. 1.5 tablespoons. And then remix. So now the oil is hot and I'm going to form some burgers with my hands. I guess I'll wash them first, just to make sure everyone's happy. And then just go at it. You want to make these pretty small actually because it takes a very long time for them to cook through and it's easy for them to get burned. So while these veggie burgers are cooking, I'm going to chop some more apple, maybe a little more kohlrabi, and make a dressing, which may or may not be good. But it's going to be great. Apples are tasty. So you can see I'm just kind of, to core this apple, you don't need a fancy coring device. You just take it, cut off one side, and turn it 90 degrees, and then cut it off that wise. It's really pretty simple. Again, not rocket science. Just cutting them lengthwise. You could really, I think actually the recipe may have called for diced apples, which would have been legit as well. But I just started slicing them, so they're going to be sliced. And I'm almost getting a nice brown crust on the bottom. You, again, don't want to cook these at a high heat. You want to cook it at a lower heat so that you're cooking it through. You're not just cooking the bottom, burning it, then flip it, cook at the top, burn it, and then you've got burned edges and then really gooey center. That's really not, it would probably still taste good, but just not really a burger, more of burned goo. So I've got the bulk of my salad right here, and I'm going to put it into a bowl. But first, actually, this is my last bowl, so I'm going to use it wisely. I am going to make my dressing in this bowl. And then I'm going to put my salad fixins in. I'm going to get rid of my breadcrumbs, if I can. Those breadcrumbs are staying in there, so that means they're not going to come out when I put yogurt in. Half a cup. So now I need some more lemon juice. Again, I'm going to take the latter half to the lemon I used earlier and squeeze it upwise and try to get it into the bowl. So unfortunately, I'm out of my coarse grain mustard, and I'm going to use this stuff, which is stone ground. Not quite the same because you don't have the whole grains of mustard. Mustard is actually a seed coming from a mustard green plant, which maybe people don't know, maybe they do. But this is about a tablespoon of mustard. And then I'm going to mix that in real nice, just like that. And then I'm going to put in some salt and pepper to taste. So just a bit, 2 teaspoons. Last time this dressing was very sweet, so this could even double as a dessert. I don't know, we'll have to wait and find out. So I'm putting all of this junk into my bowl. And then you know what? I'm going to spice this up a little bit. And I'm going to put, just because that called for parsley and I don't have any parsley, and parsley's green and tastes like something, I've got sprouts here, the last remaining pieces of my beautiful artwork that I disassembled. I'm going to put those in. And these are also going to something else. So that's, again, bringing the meal back in other dishes. Then we're going to mix this up with maybe some spoons. Oh! Don't have the salad tosser. I've got a designated salad tosser who couldn't make it, oh goodness, tonight. But he, which is, oh yeah, nicely crisped. A little bit more than nicely crisped, but it's all right because we've got more. I will eat the nicely crisped ones. Put down with it. All right, now I'm gonna get the junk off this spoon. And I'm going to go mix my salad. I will now toss my salad. Oh, jokes. And so I think that maybe I'm going to call this dessert if it's anything like it was last time. So we're just going to pretend I never told you it was going to be a salad. And this is now a refreshing dessert with vegetables, with 2 vegetables and 1 fruit. Imagine that. No one could have taught you that in grade school. So this is done. Really simple, really easy. If I hadn't been doing these 3 other dishes, this probably would have taken 5 minutes to make. Just really easy, really tasty. You've got some greens, you've got some apple and kohlrabi, and that's done. So I'm going to put it aside right now. Also, the second to finishing touch on those burgers is going to be some smoked cheddar. This is coming from 4 Seasons. It has got a farm on the front, which might mean that it's coming from a local farm, but that's not a good thing to assume. A lot of the time, you're going to have products in grocery stores, in natural food stores, just in any food venue that has farms on it. A lot of those are marketing ploys that are just, trying to get you to buy their product because they want you to think it's more environmentally friendly, something like that. That's not to say that none of them are. I'm not saying that by any means, but a lot of the time there are these huge farming operations that put these nice, happy cows on the logo of their milk, and probably not that happy in real life. So that means that cheese may have come from a farm that uses good farming stewardship, but it may not have. So we've got our spinach and bulgur salad, which is going to go down first. We get a nice big load of that right there. And then I'm going to take one of these veggie burgers, maybe that one. Just going to lay it right there like that. Same spoon, just taking out some turnips. Put it on there like that. I want to make sure those guys don't burn, and I'm just going to put a little bit of dessert onto the plate. Now I've got one more thing that I'm going to put on, and that is some more of these sprouts that I had and put into the kohlrabi and apple salad. So these are mixed sprouts there. I think some are sunflower seeds, some are alfalfa, some are, I don't know, just various other things. So we've got our meal. So that was our meal. Not quite done cooking all of it because, as you can see, this really created a feast. So that was 4 dishes all that said they were going to serve 4 people, but really they provided a lot more food. I want to do one last thing before we go. I've got, this show is dealing with a lot more than just cooking. We're dealing with the issues behind food, where food's coming from, what food is, what food means to people, what food should mean to people. And so there's a lot of good literature out there on these topics right now. And a lot of these issues, these pressing issues, are coming to the public light a lot more. So with every show, I'm going to recommend a book on the topic of food or food systems or eating. This week's book is one that's very widely recognized, has had a lot of critical acclaim. And that book is The Omnivore's Dilemma by Michael Pollan. If you have not read it, I would strongly recommend that you do. It is subtitled The Natural History of 4 Meals. What he does is he follows 4 meals from ground to consumer, to plate, and gives you the full story of where it comes from, what is involved in producing that, and it's really a great read. I would strongly recommend it to all. So pick it up. You can get it at the library. You can buy it on Amazon. Just check it out. It's great.
Would you like to know where your lettuce really grows? Come on down to the farmhouse down the street. It starts with the farmer, and the farmer plants the seed. And when we all pitch into the local bin, we get more what we need. Oh, oh, taking back your body, be the hand that feeds. Taking back your body, veggies rich and green. Oh, oh, taking back your body, doing what we might to take back your body and fight the